Hello, I'm Joe, and this is Joe RPGs, my YouTube channel about D&D 5th edition mostly. Today we're going to talk about milestones and why you should probably use them. Hopefully the sound quality is better, the editing will be better, the background is better, and my face is slightly better with the hair removal thing. So yeah, milestones, why you should use them, why maybe you shouldn't use them. So, milestones versus experience points, also known as XP, but never XP points, unless you're playing one very specific RPG called Paranoia, in which case they are XP points purely to annoy your players. But we're talking about D&D. In 4th edition D&D, a milestone happened if you overcame, I think, 2 encounters and you didn't have a long rest. You counted as having a milestone, and it activates certain abilities or powers, got stronger depending if you did a milestone. It's basically a sort of push your luck mechanic to encourage players to not just do one encounter, rest, get all your spells and powers back, next encounter, rest, get all your spells and power back. So the idea was that it just give you some momentum to keep going. However, in 5th edition, it's completely different. Okay, so if you've heard about milestones from 4th, just put that away because it doesn't happen anymore. We get short rests, which the warlock gets his spells back, but the wizard, she doesn't, until a long rest. The default setup is if you kill a monster, you get some experience. Previous editions, you say you killed your level 1, you kill a goblin, you get 100 XP. But your level 20, you kill the goblin, you might get 5 XP. And then it's split amongst the party. So you had to kind of kill things that were, you know, a challenge, or else you got very minimal to almost no XP. So 5th edition is a lot simpler. Challenge rating 1 monster like a bugbear, it gives you 200 XP if you're level 1. If you're level 20 and you kill the same bugbear or his brother, you still get 200 XP because it's a challenge rating 1 monster and it's worth 200 XP. So that's pretty straightforward. However, you also get XP for doing quests, so you might kill, you know, the horde of goblins and a couple of bugbear lieutenants or something, and you also rescue, you know, the mayor's daughter or something, bring it back to town, and then that's an extra maybe 500 XP on top of, say, the 500 you got for killing the monsters in the cave or whatever. And total of 1000 XP takes you about 1000 to go from level 1 to level 2, so you level up. That's the standard kind of way of D&D-ing, how it generally rolls, how it historically rolled, which is great, absolutely fine. It's worth mentioning now as well, if you do Adventure League, which is the sort of sanctioned worldwide type thing where you can, you know, you can play an adventure, level up a character, move to another adventure, and kind of continuous kind of meta plot. You have to use XP. It's the default rules, and you're not really allowed to use any of the crazy extra rules. Okay, so milestone is an optional rule, or not a house rule because it's in the book, but it's an optional variant rule. Okay, but there are some problems with it, and namely bookkeeping. Okay, so but there are some problems with it. Say your character is 25 XP short for leveling up. Well, you find the nearest goblin, you kill it, and so you kind of encourages a bit of hunting down, run my chunks of XP run. Anyone who reads Order of the Stick will probably get that reference, where he basically goes, oh, I need some 10 XPs, and starts chasing down some like pathetic hobgoblins to try and get that last few XP to level up. So it can kind of make it a bit gamey, a bit more like a computer game, you know, oh, I need to grind until I get to the next level, which might be that's your type of game. You go, you hunt, get loot, get money, get items, get XP, which is fine. So the second problem with the default XP system is that you as a DM need to make sure that your encounters are level appropriate. So if you've got a bunch of level 5 fighters, pretty good level, you know, and they're fighting a horde of goblins, they can fireball, all the goblins die, they get XP. It's relatively easy. You could then go, well, okay, maybe 500 XP is what the encounter is valued at and what they should maybe be challenged with. But rather than like 25 little goblins, you say, okay, I'll have 2 maybe ogres or something that adds up to the right XP. So that's about balancing encounters. And I will do a video about how to create encounters that are challenging without being too challenging and keep things interesting. But that's another video for another day. At the minute, we're just talking about recording the XP, shall we say. You could spend all of your XP budget on a Rakshasa, and that might look good on paper, but it's immune to sort of level 6 spells. Your party has no chance, they're all casters or something, so you have to be careful. But again, different video, different day. If the players get too much experience, they level up too quickly, the rest of the encounters you've got planned too easy maybe, and then you have to adapt on the fly, which there's no harm. but it makes your life a bit more difficult. Similarly, if they miss a vital encounter or somehow do something and go the wrong way or miss some monsters and don't get enough XP, they're under leveled, you know, they haven't hit level 7, they haven't got 4th level spells, and you kind of were hoping that they did because it meant they could actually have a chance. Now they have no chance. That's why I suggest you use milestones instead. So don't track XP at all, scrap it basically. And milestones, generally speaking, whenever they hit a significant point in the plot or the story, i.e. they reach a milestone in the story, they level up. So there's 3 main advantages for using milestones instead of recording XP. Number 1, it allows you as the DM to control the pace of the game. So if the players decide to randomly go off and kill some sort of dragon or some major villain early and they do it, but it doesn't actually advance the main story or the main plot, they get the treasure and rewards of prestige and glory, but they don't level up because they'd be over leveled, then the rest of the plot derails, or the rest of the story is not challenging or whatever. Okay, so pace of the game. Number 2, it allows you to package out a suitable reward at a suitable time. Okay, so if you defeat the big bad evil guy, ping, you level up. Great. Okay, you know, we've killed the end bad guy at end of Act 1. And good planning would be that they probably should about kill enough XP worth of creatures anyway. But, you know, in case they miss them, or there's an extra player, or there's just these little things. So it's kind of a foolproof system, okay? So, you know, they level up, or they slay the ancient dragon overlord or something, you know, ping, level up. Killed unnamed goblin 275. No, sorry, you don't level up because it's not significant. It's not, you know, unless he's like the end bad guy for some reason. It's not a significant milestone in the story. They don't level up. Also, as I mentioned before, leveling up is a reward. It's saying we survived. We've overcome this tier or this amount or this toughness of monster. We can deal with stuff up to this point easily now, and we're ready for the next challenge, okay? So you get better because you overcome these challenges, and that's a reward. And generally speaking, the recommended ratio is about 1 level every 16 to 20 hours of play, which is probably 4 to 5 sessions, depending on how long your play is, how much of it is about killing monsters and getting loot, you know, how much is role playing, because there's nothing to say, you know, you have to kill monsters to get XP with milestones. With a milestone, you know, you might have a whole, like I say, act, but you might have a whole chapter of your story where it's all about, you know, making alliances and stuff, and, you know, the players have to sort of, you know, go to the Elven Kingdoms and get help because, you know, the evil army's coming. Yes, there's going to be loads of fighting in the next chapter, but this one's about forging alliances and, you know, political intrigue. But at the end of it, that might be a significant enough achievement to warrant a level up. Just because they're not fighting doesn't mean that the warrior isn't practicing, the wizard isn't researching, the cleric isn't praying. They're all still doing these things in their sort of spare time and their downtime. So even when they're not adventuring, they're still getting better. Again, if the players spend 20 hours distilling moonshine, probably not a milestone, you know? So again, you can use the milestones when they overcome something significant, or even just over time, because, you know, an act might be very long, and midway through you think, well, they spent enough time, you know, interlude, level up, and then resume the act, because if you're using XP system, they would have, you know, killed enough to level up halfway through, and then they'd kill a bit more to level up at the end. So it works out the same, it just means that there's no chance of failure. It's a foolproof system. So the third thing is that it offers encouragement to your players. A bit like I alluded to number 2, it's a reward. So leveling up is a reward for surviving generally, or defeating stuff, but it also means that your players are stronger. So they get the Orb of Scrying and they use it, and because of, you know, end of the quest, they've found the secret orb, they use it, and they see a load of demons are coming to invade and they'll be here next week, and that's kind of bad. But it's probably worth a milestone because they've done the quest, they've got the orb, and they've used it to scry, you know, what great danger does the prophecy foretell? Oh, an army of demons, we're doomed. But they level up. Okay, maybe that army of demons is going to be tough, but actually might be something we can overcome. So I'll give you an example from the game I was running. They close out the opening act. It's Red-Handed Doom, if anyone's familiar with that awesome module. I strongly recommend it. You probably have to get it on Drive-Thru RPG because it's hard to get it in hardback, but it's well worth it if you can get it. In converting from 3.5 to 5e is very easy, so you just oh, hobgoblins, look up hobgoblins kind of thing. It's pretty easy. There's a very minimal amount of conversion. Anyway, we'll talk about that another time. But so they were hard to investigate some hobgoblins that are running around. They find this out. Oh, there's a talk of an army. It's probably, 50 hobgoblins. Yeah, probably. Yeah. Okay, well, let's just go and check. No. An army like, Lord of the Rings, Uruk-hai army. Yeah. Can't beat that. No, let's run away. Yes. So they ran away, and they could warn the town, and they could evacuate and things. And the end of that chapter, or that piece of the story, is the army steamrollers this tiny little ford town, that ferry crossing town that's tactically significant, but there's nobody in there because they've all fled. So they succeeded. They evacuated the town, although obviously they're massively outgunned and outnumbered. So actually they're retreating. They're falling back, and that's normally not the time when you go ping level up. But actually they'd finished off this sort of opening act of the story, and they now have more challenges to overcome. There's an army on the loose. There's, evil undead overlords helping them with minions. There's all sorts of shenanigans going on. So by leveling up, they feel empowered and emboldened, and they can go, well, actually, maybe we can do this. We've survived, so we level up. Okay, we're stronger because we've leveled up. We might actually have a chance here. And it's a reward for surviving, which is what XP kind of is in one respect. So hopefully that equips the players to feel powerful enough to sort of take on the next bit and keeps the game and the story going. As mentioned, leveling up is a form of reward. It means you've overcome something, you've avoided, defeated, killed, captured maybe, or negotiated a mid-piece. That's a form of winning. You don't actually have to kill stuff all the time to overcome problems. Obviously we like to think we can in D&D, just go in, murder horrible things. Like gold items, in theory, a level 1 commoner could have magic vorpal sword and thousands of gold pieces. He'd probably be a noble or something, but they're tangible things. Like anyone could have them if they're lucky. A peasant could, in theory, trip over a box. Oh, look, a magic sword of doom. Interesting story, don't get me wrong, but those things, they're replaceable if they get lost. XP is your character is advancing. It's a core. The character as a person gets stronger, whether that's physically or magically or psychically or whatever else, in their faith, if they're a cleric. And as players as well, their character's advancing, and that's the real reward, is that progression. We're moving forward in the story. Because if the Uruk-hai army turns up and you're like, oh, we're screwed, but we've leveled up, so they on one level they cognitively know the story is moving forward, even if all things are closed off and seem impossible. The story is still going. The cameras are still rolling. The Uruk-hai didn't just walk up and they went, well, there's only a few hundred elves and men and a couple of hobbits. End credits roll. That didn't happen. The story kept going, and it was tough and people died and stuff, but you get the point. So to summarise before this goes on too long. 1. Less bookkeeping for both the players and the DM. 2. Controls the pace of the game. Lets the DM decide when the players level up, so that they're not over-leveled or under-leveled. It's just right, that sweet spot. And 3. It's a reward which motivates the players to move forward in the story and hopefully keep interested in your game. So hopefully that will help, and if you don't use Milestones, maybe you'll think about using Milestones. If you don't like Milestones for some reason, let me know why. I'm always interested in hearing other opinions and learning new things. Yeah, so if you like the video, please like it. Hit me a comment or something, awesome. Shaving, that's the word.